Hey guys, this is Alex trying to translate for you this document that I pulled from Greg Arkhurst, who presented on sprint training among the 11, 14-year-old swimmers. Um, I am not a professional translator by any means, so I'm going to do my best to summarize what his comments were and explain to you what he went through with these slides. Okay, and in red at the bottom of your screen is me translating the writing that are on the slides. Okay, so this is him in red. He's a level 4. His name is Greg Arcus, sorry, and he's a level 4 NCCP. He has a master's degree in the field. He has 25 years of experience coaching the little kids to the very old master swimmers. He's French, and so he worked both in France and in Canada. He's 44 years old, and he's a passionate of sprint. So through this seminar, he walked us through some basic principles of sprint training. First and foremost, he says that researchers show speed is related to genetics. So he's mentioning fast twitch fibers. So you're born predisposed to it. However, speed is not exclusive to genetics. So if you don't have it, you can still develop it. It's not the end of the world, but if you are born with it, then you have a little bit of a head start. He's referencing a study back in 1977. He says that this genetic imprint happens in the early years. So we can see this genetic forming at an early age. Okay, and if you miss the window to develop it, then you will not develop it later. Okay, so keep in mind this is back in 1978. I do think that we can develop it, but he's referencing this. So I think basically he's just saying you're born with it, you can develop it, but if you don't develop it early on, it's going to be harder later on. Okay, so my apologies. I've made my first mistake as a translator. I shouldn't be giving you my opinion, but objectively translate what it's saying. Okay, so I won't do that anymore. So on this slide, it's the learning from the 8 to 14 years old. It says take your pick. So basically, his program for this age group is based on the 200 IM and also the distance stroke. So the 200 fly, 200 back, 200 breath, 200 free. He also likes to train the 50 fly a lot, especially for speed training. And obviously he would also push for the endurance training, progressing the volume and workout durations. He also mentions that this is a really good time and we should all work on stroke counting, reading splits, practicing taking heart rates, all those ancillary components of the training. We need to address that at this age. On this slide here, the definition that he has for speed is the ability to produce motor skills at high intensity in short time lapse. So that's pretty general. Speed is related to max force, coordination of sport-specific limbs. But he wants our attention to be on the last sentence when it says the ability to make decisions quickly is essential. According to Greg, it is our coach's job to teach that, to address that, and to train that, to give the athletes the tools to make quick decisions in a fraction of a second. Okay, speed among the 11, 14 still. So the working on speed is working on short speed without restrictions. I couldn't really understand what he was trying to say by that, so I'm going to skip over that. And we need to align the aspects of coordinations and fitness together. So we got to basically work the technique and make sure that we can coordinate that together based on their fitness level. Okay, and specific to teens versus adults is the work volume. By that he was saying how on your YTP, if you dedicate a certain percentage of work on speed, well, as the years progresses, the amount of time spent on working on speed should be greater every year to create adaptation. I develop speed among the young kids. Speed is needed in all events. By that he meant that, whatever events you're in, you have to work on speed. For example, in the 1500, your last 100 is all speed. In your 25K open water race, the last 1500 is based on speed. And so he finds speed to be in all events. And this is from the 50 meters all the way to the 5K, 25K open water events. So you gotta work on speed. He was mentioning how no international swimmer, elite level, no one should be going slower than 52 point in a 100 free, even if they are a long distance swimmer, right? If you're a 1500 freestyle swimmer, you gotta be able to go sub 52 or 52 point for your 100 free, because for him that kind of becomes the baseline for speed that you need. And so speed is everywhere. Speed is necessary in high intensity movements. It's just he was just reiterating a definition that in any high intensity movement there's speed in there as well. What to avoid? Avoid promoting specialization at this age. From anywhere from 8-year-old to 14-year-old, avoid specialization. Focus on the basic skills first. You have to keep it simple at this level and make sure that whatever you're teaching, they are doing it well, and they're doing it, and they can do it fast. He was suggesting that some of the more difficult skills to save that for the much later level when you're 15 and older, because if you show them everything now, then what can you show them later on when you need to continue coaching them and adapting to something new and faster. And so you gotta stick to the basics. Don't specialize them just yet. Just whatever you teach, make them go fast at it. Okay, save those specific skills for a higher level later on. The progression should be a plan in steps, right? You want to put the priority at the goods in this. I'm sorry. If you need to put the priority and align them in a way that the basic is taken care of, and then you can progress from there. For him at this level, things that are priorities are streamlining. Make sure they push up in the streamline if they want to go fast. He doesn't allow anyone to push off on their front. You gotta push off in the ready position that Robin does a really great job at teaching. You gotta slice the water, and that's what he means by keep it simple and making sure that those skills are well developed and executed properly before you move on further. He also mentioned that you have to respect the everybody's individual developmental age. For example, the example he gave was the power tower. Okay, in his group of so many kids, not everyone will have the chance to access the power tower, because it's something that he reserves for the more developed athletes, the more mature athletes. And so don't put people on the power tower because you have one, or because you can have access to it. Okay, you gotta put the kids who can do the type of work or need that type of work on there. Not everyone should go on there. All right, some notes for you here. Speed work must be of high quality and when fresh, in brackets nervous system. So you have to work your speed sets when the athlete is fresh, okay? Because you're asking for 100% speed. You're not asking for 75. You should not accept 95. If you're asking for 100%, do not accept 95. So for the athletes to get to 100%, you have to give them rest, and so that's why he enjoys working speed on a Monday and Wednesday when the kids are fresh. And obviously, the warm up must be specific, leading them to peak in the main set. So if you're working on speed, make sure your warm up is rational, simple, and leading them to success in the main set. Okay, so so it has to be planned out properly. Um, and he made an analogy about a predator. You know, when they go hunt for their food, for their prey, they don't just go in 95% fast, right? They wait for the right moment, and it's all in with 100% intensity. And so that's how he sees speed. You gotta be fresh, and when you go, you really go. Okay, there's no half measure there. The level of concentration and engagement must be high. Okay, so when you're doing speed work, the athletes need to be fully there, fully engaged. Okay, and that's how they can produce 100% effort. If the concentration is not there, then they're not fresh, and so they won't be ready for that type of work. Limiting factors. So obviously, you got to work your anaerobic lactic system for when you're working speed, and with this, you just have to have a lot of rest. And that's how you train it. If there's not enough rest, then it becomes a limiting factor for developing speed. Strength components, max strength and power, same thing. The athletes need to be strong. Without that, the max strength and the power, well, you can't generate enough speed. Intra and interskeletal muscular strength coordination, he just quickly went over that, so there's no details there for me to share. Ability to react to a signal. So he's going back to the focus, the concentration factor, that you need to be sharp in order to work speed. Okay, going back to the predator, the predator needs to be really sharp in order to go hunt for the prey. You can't go in there with 95% or 92% effort because it won't work. So you gotta be quick enough to react to the signal that's being given, whether the take your marks go or the whatever you throw at the kids, they need to be reacting quickly to it. Okay, and last but not least, the unawareness of the sport's specificity. So I translated that really badly, but what he means by that is coaches need to understand what the sport requires. We need to know what swimming is, what it requires, and what working speed is. You need to understand that, well, if you're working speed, you need so much rest, right? If you don't understand how much rest you need, then you just became a limiting factor to developing speed because you did not even give enough rest. And vice versa, if you don't understand that the speed that you prescribe, the distance that you prescribe is too long and does not help develop speed, then that is also a limiting factor to creating speed in swimming. And so it is our job to really understand the event and how the event works and how speed works, so that we can prescribe the right amount of rest or the right amount of effort in order to produce speed. The example that he gave is also that he would much prefer, going back one step further, going back to the predator who's chasing for a prey. I'm sorry, I forgot what I was going to say. I lost my train of thought. Then I'm going to move fast forward to something else. In his books, he would much prefer doing 8 times 15 meters, so 1.5, at 110% than 425 dive at 92%, because he wants 100% and more. Anything less than 100% is not speed. Okay, and that's why it's important to respect the athlete and provide with enough rest. Oh, I remember now. So he was saying how coaches need to observe the swimmers and create an environment where the athletes have the best chance at succeeding when working speed. Okay, you have to recognize that Johnny needs more rest, and the other kid next to him, Sean, would need less rest. Because not everyone is built the same, and so you need to understand who needs more, who needs less, in order for them to be at their 100%. And so we got to be very aware of that and create the right environment for each of them to succeed. At this point, he's sharing a weekly plan, so a microcycle. It looks like this. Whoopsie. So this is what his macrocycle would look like. I'm sorry, microcycle. So what you see in red, the numbers in red, okay, is the percentage of work done in speed, in max velocity. So Monday night, he works on speed. Wednesday night, he works on speed. Friday night and Saturday morning. Now, the percentage that you see is the percentage of time spent on the skill. For example, if you have a 2-hour practice, 25% would equate to half an hour of speed work and 75% of endurance work. On a Tuesday morning, it's 100% dedicated to endurance one type of work. And so that's the percentage, that's what that means. Now the second line below the top line there, 70%, I'm looking at the Monday night, 70% swim plus 30% kick. So off the 25% from above, that's how he breaks down those 25%. So half an hour of the practice is dedicated for speed work. Of that half hour, 70% of the time will be done in swimming fast, and 30% of the speed work will be done kicking. Okay, so that's how he breaks it down. And in the gray boxes, where you see 100% skills, he says that's a must. Every practice, you gotta work on perfect technique. And he does not mean that we have to be specific about how the head position needs to be, how the hand entry needs to be. What he means by that is just every day we gotta push on more basic skills, such as leaving the wall on the side, pushing off in a streamline, kicking underwater. That sort of basic stuff is what he considers skills, and that is 100% focus every single practice. What else is there to say? That's pretty much all. So 25% speed work on Monday, another 50% on Wednesday, 25% on Friday, because we're coming back on a Saturday morning with more speed work. Okay, that's it for this slide. This is a sample of a set that he would do. The goal of this set is called the runner set. So the goal of this set is to sprint with a really fast initial speed. And you have to give enough rest in this set, 60 to 2 minutes rest between the rounds. Okay, and he mainly uses this set during the time when the kids are really tired. So the set is done where the kids run on deck and dive into the water. So that's where you get free speed, where the kids just dove in and got a lot of momentum going on, and they execute 15 meters of all out underwater and breakout speed. Okay, and then the rest of the 35 meters, so it's a 6 times 50, so 15 all out with a running start, and then 35 meters of moderate effort swim. That follows with 650 on a minute, and in the 650s, they're alternating kick and swim. The kick is of moderate effort, the swim is low stroke count. And you do this 3 rounds. Now, he's suggesting either you do the first formula, round 1, all swim, round 2, underwater kick, round 3, swim again, and this is for the 650 on a minute, okay? Or you can do the other way, round 1 is underwater, round 2 is swim, and round 3 is underwater. Again, the focus is on the 15 meters all out with a running start to create that momentum, and it's being used mainly in times when the kids are very tired. In the stop and go set, it's done very differently. So the goal of this set is to have a good body position and maintain a good balance when you swim. So when he watches his swimmers perform this set, he always positions himself either from the front, so them coming towards him, or from the back when the swimmers are going away from him. And he watches the snorkel. Okay, if the snorkel wobbles, then it's not done well. If the snorkel is steady and straight, standing up, then it's great. Okay, the rest you want in this set is about 20 seconds long. Okay, and the whole idea behind this set is that he likes to see swimmers do drills at different speed. It's important to do the drill at slow speed, but also at high speed. So the set goes 20 times 50 on 110 with paddles and fins and snorkel, okay? And you alternate 50 meters where you do 1, 2, 3 drill max, stop, 1, 2, 3 drill max again. So you do 3 strokes all out, then you stop. And you just surf and glide, reset the body position, okay? And once you're ready to go again, you start with a kick, create some momentum, and then 3 fast strokes again, and stop and glide and surf, and then reset and redo again. So he would do the whole entire 50 like that on 110. And then the even 50s are steady swim as 30 meters going progressively head down. By that he means that the swimmer starts with head up, water polo style, and slowly during the 30 meters, the swimmer slowly drop his head down into the perfect body position, and then the last 20 meters are done nice and smooth in that body position. The idea is to raise awareness of your head position and your body position, so that the swimmer realizes when is the proper body position. Okay, and so that's how this set is being done. He thinks it's super important that the drills are being done at different speed. In this case, it's a fast speed because there's a lot of neuromuscular activity happening when you do something like that. And the idea is to create more connections between the nervous system and the coordination. In this set here, he's working on the reaction time. That is the goal of the set. The break is 30 seconds to 120 seconds, so 2 minutes. So very, very fresh. He uses this set during warm-up or right after activation on dry land, or at the end of the practice. And the goal is to work their concentration, their focus, and their reaction time. So the swimmer is in a starting position. If you're doing on land, then it's just gonna bend over and touch the ground and take your mark position. If they're on the blocks, then they take your mark position. So he would mix this up. For example, he would clap his hands. So he claps at a slow rhythm, and then the swimmer will do their start on land or into the water when there's no more sound. So for example, he would go, and then they would go. If there's a sound missing, then they go. So instead of going on the clap, you go on the non-clap. He also mixes up with the way he whistles, right? The example is that he uses a whistle, and if he blows a certain way, you go. If he blows a different way, you don't go. So quite often he likes to blow the whistle normally until he plug one side of the whistle to create a different sound, and that's the sound that this swimmer will react to and will take off. He also mixed it up with languages. You know, you would go when he says number three in Spanish, so he could go, 2, 3, 4, tres, and then you go on the tres because tres would be Spanish for three, for example. Or it could be just a straight up number. He can just give you random numbers and you're supposed to go on a certain number. So if the number to take off is 5, he could say 55, 3, 6, 7, 99, 8, 5, and then you go on the 5. So the whole idea, the whole concept is to make the swimmer focus. So they narrow down the concentration and they react quickly when they hear the trigger number or the trigger word or the trigger sound. He loves doing this and the swimmers get a good kick out of it. So you react and the set is done 10 starts like that. By the way, my apologies. I realized I didn't translate his sets. If you are not getting the right information from my translation verbally, let me know and I can translate the slides for you. All right, the next set is to assess your own streamline. Okay, so the idea of the goal of this set is to raise awareness in the swimmer's feeling in the water. Okay, you want them streamlining and self-taught themselves how they can improve the streamline just by feeling the position in the water. It also at some point works a little bit of hypoxia for them in the water as well. The break should be long enough, again from 30 to 120 seconds, and it can be done at any time during the practice. The set is 10 times push off or dive, okay, and you just glide as far as you can. And this is a set where he just kind of gives free range to the swimmers to play around with the concept of streamlining and actually competing against each other to see who can go the farthest. And he would want the swimmers to kind of give themselves feedback to see how they can improve on their next dive or next push-up, whether it's just the way they reposition their toes, the way they expand their lungs, anything that would improve their streamline. In this set here, you go 850s on 110. The first one is max the first 15 meters, so push off and go all out the first 15 and the rest is easy. On the second repeat is you only max the 5 in, 5 out of a turn, okay? And then on number 3, the finish is 15 meters all out. Now he insists that on number 3, do not blink when they finish. Make sure you watch how they finish, and that is very important, the way they finish. The last 5 meters, the way they kick or the way they breathe or don't breathe, the way they position the body into the wall. So that is super important to him. Number 4 is recovery, and you repeat the whole cycle twice. The other set that he has is 3 100 and 145, and that's done pull, breathing 4 5 4 5 every 25. So first 25 breathing every 4, second 25 every 5, third 25 every 4, and then the last 25 every 5. It's just teaching them to switch in and out of patterns. And then 150 on 115. This is done streamline kick, negative split, right? And the second 25 you build to max, okay? So this is all streamline kick. And then back to 100 on 145, pull again, and a different breathing pattern. First 25 breathing every 3, then next 25 every 4, then 4, then 3 again. Then progressing into 250s and 115, streamline kick again, negative split the second 25, and then the set just repeats itself by adding more 50s of streamline kicking. In this set, it's called resistance speed versus full speed. And he got this set, well, the first one anyhow. The first set he got it from an old buddy of his, Brett Hawk. So the set goes 400 as 100 ugly swim, alternating with 100 smooth. So ugly, smooth, ugly, smooth. The idea of the ugly swim is to ask the swimmers to swim in the most nasty, ugly way as possible, to teach them that swimming with poor techniques is actually very hard work. And swimming smooth is actually more efficient and a lot more relaxed, and that was the goal behind that. And then 300 kick, where anytime in the 300 you have to have 4 bursts of 15 meters all out. Okay, and the swimmers can decide when those bursts will happen, but it needs to have 4 bursts of 15 meters during the 300. Then 825 drill of your best stroke with 15 seconds rest. Odd ones are just nice and smooth, and even ones are built into the wall. So these are still drill, okay, but it's done as smooth and fast. And then 250s as low stroke count. Then the middle set, the 3 rounds one. So the third round is done with fins, and the set goes 5 times 10 meters, all out with paddles and t-shirt on, and it's just all out. Oh, by the way, this set is done with no pushing off, okay? And so you gotta just start from a dead start, and you go 10 meters all out with a 20 seconds rest each, okay? And then 50 kick, nice and smooth. Then another 5-10. This time is swim with the t-shirt. Again, 10 minutes all out, rest 20. 10 minutes all out, rest 20. 5 times total. Then another 50 kick, smooth. Then the last is done 5 times 10 meters all out naked swim, meaning just your bathing suit and normal swim, just to allow the swimmers to feel the speed as they go, so that when they clean up their resistance and all the drag off the body, they can feel the speed a lot more. Okay, and then the last 50 is nice and easy. You do that 3 rounds, and the last round are with fins. Then the last suggestion was 2 times through, 50 dive all out with fins, 100 easy, twice. The first one is swim, the second one is underwater. All right. This last slide is more of a storytelling, and he thought it was important to tell the story to highlight something very important to him. The scenario is that this is back in 2013, 2014, when he was the sprint coach for an international meet for Canada. And when it was time to train sprint, he got the dirty looks from a lot of different coaches from his own team, because there was just simply not a lot happening at that time, meaning that, you know, the swimmers were not actively doing laps and not doing a whole lot. There was a lot of downtime, and he says that as swim coaches, we're so used to trying to condense so much content in our practice, because we always run out of time, because we never have enough time to fit everything in, and so we are wired that way. And so that's why these coaches were looking at him in a very funny way. But the story of this is that he says, when you coach sprinting, you need to take time. You have to respect the rest time, and you have to respect the fact that when someone is not fresh to go, you don't let them go until they are fresh, and you can get that 100% effort from them. He actually enjoys having those downtime, because he uses that moment to observe his swimmers and learn from them and see what kind of engagement they have towards the set and towards their teammates. He uses those as coaching moments to learn from them, teach them stuff, talk to them, and just create a dynamic where it's very positive. It's very fun to work on sprints. He says that when you cut corners in a aerobic training, it's not so bad. But when you cut corners in sprint training, you're going to hurt a lot. It's going to haunt you, it's going to hurt you later on. So it's important to respect the timeline and allow the time for the rest to happen, and to use that time wisely to become a better coach with your athletes, regardless that what anyone else think, because he says at this moment he had 6 international caliber coaches looking at him weird and wanting him to move along, and he says that's unfortunate because that's not what sprint training should be. Sprint training should be completely the opposite, where you got to take the time and demand the speed and get the speed from the swimmers. Okay, and then there's a last slide here, but this was put in there to more as a joke to make fun of his head coach at Camo. So there's no need for us to go through that. And I think on the actual PDF of the conference, you can get in touch with him through one of these media platforms here. Okay, so I hope that I did a good job at translating things for you and things make sense. If it doesn't, I'll be more than happy to answer your questions, because I just need to rewatch his talk and then answer your question, and that's not a big deal. I'm sorry I didn't translate these sets here for you. Oh, and when they are in blue like that, there are videos to support these slides. I just decided not to play them for the sake of keeping things short, but also the feed of the video was not great when I watched it. It was a lot of lagging, and so I'll let you pick out those videos yourself from the link that you got from the conference. Okay, let me know if there are any